ESPC Property Show, our show.
Yes.
Our show, this one.
Yeah, and we're doing our first solo episode in a while.
Yeah. You're nervous?
Always. So we're going to chat through mainly what's been happening in the market over the last few months, our house price report for the period of March through to May. Came out a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, big 3 months.
And so Paul, I don't know if you want to kick us off and chat us through maybe what's been happening.
The headline grabbing stats?
Yeah.
Okay. So firstly, we saw a rise in house prices. This is the rise in average sold price. So it's a pretty good barometer of what's happening out there, up 3.6% year on year.
Okay.
We'll talk about some of the hotspots later because there's some interesting data there. In terms of what prices properties were achieving on average, we're at 101.5% of the home report. So we've been saying this for a while, haven't we? That premium, that 7-8%, that's been dissipating, and we find ourselves now with things levelling out a little bit, slightly down on last year. So, but I think that's healthy, isn't it? No one's if you can get a market which is pretty stable, it's good for your hordes of first-time buyers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's quite nice if people are then looking, they're looking on ESPC.com, they maybe know that they're not having to pay huge amounts over.
So it's kind of when you see it, you think, well, actually that is within my range, because in the past you see it
and I think add 10 grand.
20%, okay. Listings, this is why I think it's really encouraging. Listings are up 4.8%.
Okay.
So twofold, really. Increase in market share for ESPC solicitor estate agents, yay. But also, I think, just a little bit more coming to the marketplace. Sales were down 1.3%, but again, that's a statistical quirk. It just shows things are pretty stable, really.
Yeah.
Had a quick look on the ESPC. Stock this year versus last year. Do you think we've got more stock this year or less stock than last year? Here's a question. You don't know the answer.
I don't know the answer. I think that we might have less on the market.
You are correct.
Okay.
99.7%.
Oh, wow. Just a little bit. Because I remember
it is 6 properties, I think.
Yeah, last year we had, we definitely saw stock was up. And I was just thinking, I think it's maybe...
We've seen more sales, haven't we, on listings. I think this what we're seeing now is there's more listings than sales, where it's always been lots more sales, not so many listings. But we're entering an interesting season, and we'll come to that in a moment. But we're at almost the same amount of stock as last year, but you were right. Also, medium selling time, so speed of sale, 27 days, so 1 day slower than last year. Again, nothing to be concerned about there. I think it just shows that we've got a pretty stable market, but we did see some real big numbers in terms of value, some of the hotspots, as we like to refer to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, where would you say are hotspots this month?
Okay, Borders, up 8.1%.
Oh, wow.
Well, big. Midlothian, 6%, and the West End, and I don't mean London, I mean the West End of Edinburgh, 8.4%.
Wow.
And it just gives you some sort of context here for West End now. The average sale price, 341,289. So that's the West End, Stockbridge, the evergreen sort of locations that are incredibly popular, and we're seeing that demand and that growth.
Yeah, interesting that you said the Borders are also up. I mean, that we obviously saw during lockdown. I know that we kind of need to stop speaking about it. It feels like it's quite a while ago now, but
it's the Americans now.
That kind of mass exodus to rural living. But that I think you're seeing that you get a lot more for your money down there, and that's obviously
even now,
driving competition.
And that's a given quarter. So we're talking about average sale prices. So if you sell a lot more expensive properties, naturally average sale price is up. So you'd need to look at it over a longer period, I think, to really get a steer. But I suppose the good news in terms of first-time buyers is we still have those spots where I think things are achievable. Musselburgh, Gorgie, and probably the most value for money if you're not too worried about commuting a little bit, it's Dunfermline. 2-bedroom flat there, 141,000 on average.
Yeah, Dunfermline definitely seems to pop up in any time. I mean, obviously I search ESPC a lot too, not actually looking to move, but always looking at the market. Dunfermline always has a lot of really nice, reasonably priced properties as well.
Remember when we did that special?
Yes, we did.
Over the border, we went for that fantastic Indian tapas.
Yes, it was really good. And so it's interesting to talk about. You're saying the market is quite steady. We've seen similar stats to this for the last few months. But it is interesting when you think to just a couple of years ago, the kind of drop the rise in like the time to sell and things. It is. I think people would have approached property selling, buying with a lot more anxiety and haste a couple of years ago, whereas I think it's nice to have, for both buyers and sellers, a bit of breathing space.
Yeah, feels a bit of a fairer market to both. No one wants to be, what's that saying, regret it, no, bite at haste, regret at leisure. Yeah. No one really wants that. So it does feel like things are a lot stable. Speaking of stable, interest rates are pretty stable. Yeah. I think the trend is still downwards. Inflation's gone up a little, 3.5% CPI. So I think the next Monetary Policy Committee meeting, which is on the 19th of June.
My birthday.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do it the next day.
Yeah.
You want a fixed rate? That could be a birthday present if they reduce it.
Oh, that would be great if they could do that.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll probably, I hate to disappoint you, but all the analysis points to a wait and see, I think. And so we'll stick at where we are, which is 4.25%. And then we go again with the next review after that in August. So we'll kind of be through most of the summer at that point. Yeah. I think we might see a rate reduce then. I still stick to my prediction. It will be sub 4%, 3.75.
I think that would be nice to end the year on 3.75.
Yeah, but we'll see. I suppose we should just talk about what we think might happen over summer.
Yeah, absolutely, because predominantly summer tends to be a bit of a quieter time in the market. People go on holiday, they want to just take a break from thinking about moving house. But that's not always the case, is what we see. But so what is your predictions for the next couple of months?
My prediction, okay, which may come back to haunt me, but I'll go with this. I think it will be like last year. So what we saw last year is the first 2 weeks of the summer holiday, and we saw a real dip in listings. And basically that's people just getting away. The weather's not been great, just want to get away. Last thing on the mind is going live with the property. But once they came back, listings picked right back up and really continued throughout the rest of the summer. Buyers didn't go on holiday. They stuck around. They kept on buying. I do remember negotiating my sale. I was in Tenerife at the time. I was standing on a balcony talking to my solicitor. So, maybe buyers do go away. But I think the point is, I think we'll see buyers continue to buy over the summer months. I mean, a couple of reasons why I think that. If you look on ESPC.com, viewing requests and home report downloads are both up year on year. So I think what that always shows is that's the activity that you do before you ultimately go and view, before you ultimately offer. So it feels like things are going to continue to be busy. It's always a good forward indicator. So yeah, I think a strong summer won't be a cruel summer, to quote. I'd say Bananarama. You're going to say Taylor Swift. Yeah. There you go.
Because I think what's interesting as well, we've definitely spoken to solicitors, some of our solicitor estate agent members before, and they've, I think gone are the days of a super seasonal market, especially for properties like 2-bedroom flats, 1-bedroom flats. That kind of flat market is year round, whereas the family homes, when that kind of maybe falls more into sync with the school holidays and things. But it'll be interesting to see, and even what happens during August when the Fringe is on.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously slightly disruptive, especially if you're trying to arrange a viewing. There's a juggler outside your door. But I think overall, I think there's plenty of fuel in the tank in terms of the rest of the year for the market. I think the sentiment is pretty good. I think we need to watch inflation, we need to watch the economy and see if we see that growth. It seems pretty flat at the moment. But, as we know, Edinburgh's always had a really resilient property market no matter what. And really don't see any sort of change in that. And I think, we still are seeing demand and upward pressure. And we had that show the other week, and we were talking about overseas buyers. And those numbers seem to be creeping up again, 1 in 20 overseas buyers buying. And Americans, I think, was the top, wasn't it? As
Americans and Hong Kong and Australia.
Yeah, and everyone's welcome.
Another thing that we've been doing, Paul, recently at ESPC is we did some market research. I don't know if you want to kind of talk through some of the salient points. Yeah,
I mean, I think a lot of this will leave for another show, but there's one or two things that's probably worthy of mention. One of the great things is that they felt dealing with solicitor estate agents was easier. So again, we'll give more details on this later. One of the other things, and certainly it's informed some of our decisions, is a lot of quite a significant number of people would look on an app to buy a property. So we are about to, or in the near future, go live again with our third iteration of the ESPC app.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I think so, and it's much needed, as I say, and I think people like to look at properties on the go, as we know, and that's a great way 2 million sessions last month on the ESPC.
Yeah, wow.
It's a lot.
Yes, it is. It is a lot.
You know, when you consider, and I think people, as we know, just like looking at property.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, if you do like looking at property, is the high end. We're now calling this the sort of premier properties. I had a quick look today. Over 18 on our site, over 1 million. Wow. So, you know, that market's expanding.
Yeah.
Solicitor agents are getting more of that market, and there's some lovely, if you're just like an idle browse. We were just looking, weren't we?
I know, yeah.
And are we not doing a video for one of the
we are. We're going to be going round to one of our £1 million listings next week. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, very exciting.
And we've got other things that we may be doing, but we're not going to talk about it today.
We can't
some exciting things about
much.
Properties and some good stuff coming, but we'll say nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just turning into a promotional show.
I know.
Sorry, guys.
Before we leave, and this is a bit of another plug, but just as we're talking about kind of browsing on ESPC, if you are looking for a specific property, you've got a lot of criteria you want to meet, you can save your search criteria on by creating an account on my ESPC account, and you can get emails sent if
three a day.
Yeah, if
Still
a property matches
searches.
your criteria. I know I need to update my criteria because I think I've changed my mind about what the next property is going to look like.
The open rate in those emails is like 50% plus.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of thousands of them that go out. It just shows people like looking at property,
yeah.
as we all do.
Especially if your dream home might have just come to the market.
Yeah, and it just might.
Yeah.
If not today, tomorrow.
Exactly. Well, that was a nice short and sweet episode from us. Yeah, just a little bit of a recap on the market. If you've got any questions, please feel free to get in touch with us. You can leave us a comment on YouTube.
Yep.
You can email us at marketing@espc.com. Or you can send us a text via our RSS feed. Yeah. So just before we go, we should probably acknowledge that we're in a new space, Paul.
Are we?
Yes. We are in...
We're taking all the wood out.
We're in our pod in the Property Lounge. If you haven't yet visited the Property Lounge, we're at 27 George Street, where you can come and browse. We've got touch screens and some... a great team in the lounge that'll come and help you with any of your... We've got experts in every day, so a property expert, a legal expert, mortgage advisors. You can come in and speak to them and get some free advice.
Yeah, and free coffee.
And
Coffee's got better.
Yeah.
It really has. My jokes are no better, but the coffee's definitely got better. But no, it is a really lovely space, and we're absolutely committed to be on the high street, and we're the longest-standing retailer on George Street.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
We're at 54 years.
Wow.
I know.
That's pretty good going.
Boy and man.
But yeah, so we'll speak to you again next week. We've got a really exciting guest, and that's going to be our season finale episode.
Yeah.
And before we break for the summer.
Absolutely. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.